then let you take over.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for coming today and giving up some of your time to meet with me. I've learned a lot during this process of getting in the incubator up and going, and I am not an expert by any stretch of imagination. I am an educator that is continuing to learn as we go through this process. So feel free to ask me any questions along the way, just kind of interrupt. I was explaining a little bit earlier, I always felt like when we're on Zoom, I'm kind of doing double Dutch, like waiting for my turn to jump in when I have a question. But feel free to just be like, hey, Kara, I have a question about this. And I would love to either answer it or help you find that answer. Because that's what we want our students to do too, right? Kirby, you're from South Tech. Is it, no, someone who's from South Tech? I thought I saw someone.
This fall at your place.
I got it. Yes. We've got I have some students that go to South Tech at the high school. So I love it. But yeah, so let me go ahead and pull up my screen and I will do the screen share and it's going to work perfectly. Terry, perfect. You see the whole screen. Awesome. There we go. Okay. So what is Thrive? So we have a mission statement, just like every business should have a mission statement. And our mission really is to help our students cultivate critical, transformative professional skills, beneficial in preparing them to succeed in the fast-paced, continually changing competitive workplace. And that's what we had at the forefront whenever we were talking about if we were going to start an incubator and why we should start an incubator. Really, what we want to do was teach our kids the entrepreneurial mindset. It's not necessarily that they all become business owners, but we want them to have those skills that entrepreneurs have and are able to use them in everything that they do when they leave our school district. So I have a graphic up here, and this is actually from Venture Lab curriculum, which I'll talk about later. But I love how they have framed their mindset for this content. And we actually use this language in our elementary schools all the way through the high school. So I'm kind of a nerd with vertical alignment and love that. I have a degree in administration too. So this makes me happy when we're using the same language all throughout the grade levels. So here's what we're really focusing on. We're focusing on a growth mindset. Persistence. We want them to have courage, to be opportunity seeking, embracing failure. And I love that one. And I'll go a little bit more in depth on that one a little bit later. But, empathy, thinking about others. That's huge, especially at the high school level, when kids are oftentimes so self-centered, trying to design for someone else's needs, not just your own. So, and just, being adaptive and optimistic. This is what we want our kids to be when they leave our district. And so we're using entrepreneurship as the way to teach these skills. And I'm going to show you a quick video that is about our program. It gives a great overview of what our incubator is, and more of why we do it in our district. So I'm going to go ahead and try to play this. And this is from year one. I showed it to my husband the other day and he's like, you look different. I was like, that's because it was before COVID. Okay. We all look a little different on the other end of COVID. So this was year one in our incubator space, but you'll hear a perspective from students, which I think is always more valuable when you're talking to educators, to actually hear it from them. And you'll be able to get a little glimpse into our actual space. So here we go.
Sometimes the best ideas begin on a napkin.
How much did steak prices cost? Like, just how much have we spent up to now?
This is the Webster Groves High School Thrive Entrepreneurship Incubator, a class dedicated to teaching students to start and run a business.
It's fun, first of all. It's definitely a change from all the schoolwork.
I want them to find their passions. I want them to understand that failure is very much part of life. to get that grit.
Program Director Kara Seavey teaches these juniors and seniors at a site off campus not far from the high school.
They earn practical art credit for the course. It's a 3-hour block. So they start their day with me here at the Thrive location, and then they go back for real school. That's what we call it, in the afternoon.
This is the first year the class is being offered. There is one similar happening in the Parkway School District.
We saw a need for real life experience for our students. They come out with the book knowledge, but they don't have the authentic experience. So they're finding that here in the incubator.
Our business is the Equip Project, and what we do is we take donations of new and used sports equipment and instruments, and we donate it to kids who otherwise couldn't afford it so that they all have the opportunity to play.
STL Dry Age sells dry aged meat.
We buy steak raw, like normally just steak, and then we keep it in a temperature and humidity controlled environment. And then after a certain amount of days, it comes out dry aged, which basically just higher the quality of it, makes it a better steak.
Stickers creates custom designs.
It feels awesome. It feels like success before college.
So we are Knit Happens, and we create hand-knitted hats that benefit the St. Louis community. With each hat bought, a certain amount of our proceeds are donated to a local St. Louis organization that gives back to the people of St. Louis.
So our company is called Flythrough, and it's an app like Roundtable, which is going to provide data about drive-through wait times.
These student-run and organized businesses are real, complete with all the paperwork.
We are an LLC, and our member Quinn Dolan has dealt with all the banking, so we have a bank account now that's under our name. People don't take us seriously, like they think this isn't a real business, like they just think this is a class for high school, but really like we're starting actual businesses.
Actual businesses have to comply with actual laws, which was lesson number 1.
We had a very scary week where we invited lawyers into the incubator to share us all the horror stories that can happen from owning a business.
We've obviously never done this before, so we're learning as we go.
Being a teenage CEO isn't their favorite part of this class.
And then you get to keep all the profit and everything from it.
Making money, I think, is definitely up there, but also like just being able to do something besides school.
And just like any savvy business owner, you should never miss a chance to promote your product.
We've got an Instagram, stickers.stl.
If you just have equipment or instruments sitting in your house, it's just doing nothing, come on, donate to the Equip Project. You can contact us at equip.project@gmail.com.
Eventually we'll be STL Dry Age on Facebook, and you will be able to order from there.
You can follow us on Instagram at knithappens.stl. We also have a Facebook page under knithappens.stl.
Hopefully in the future you can look for Flythrough on the App Store, and we're just trying to make everyone's lives easier.
I muted myself. Okay. No, that's just a little glimpse into our space. And it's fun for me to look back at those businesses because it was early on in the year, that first year, and that dry aged steak business made a lot of money. And they actually ended up selling their business at the end of the year to a local man who lives in Webster who just wanted to learn how to dry age steak. So they were able to sell all their equipment to him. The sticker company, I love on the wall, they kind of showed their stickers. That was they like to put up their failures on the wall. So you'll see like some of the stickers were off centered and it wasn't cut correctly. And they really enjoyed seeing the process of their learning. And I loved that about that group. Knit Happens, those hats, they changed the style completely because the feedback they got from people was like, it was too thick. But they're learning while they're doing the business. They're asking for feedback. They're trying something new. They're meeting with people who are in the industry and they're adjusting. So that's something that's very neat about our program. We are not the only entrepreneurship incubator type program in St. Louis or in Missouri. Parkway has a program called Spark that we are modeled off of. I know Clayton, Ladue, and Brentwood in U City are part of a program called Catalyst. And there's also STL Caps, which we're all teaching kids through entrepreneurship. We're all doing it as an experiential learning opportunity, but we're also doing it a little bit different. My program, and I shouldn't say my program, or I scratch that, our program. I decided that I wanted to model it after the time period after our South County Tech kids schedules. So our kids go to tech school the first 3 hours of the day. So I knew that would be an easier way to talk to my counselors and convince them that we can do this because we already had kids doing it. So I was able to take those first 3 hours a day and say, our kids are going to be working in our entrepreneurship incubator. We are off campus, and that is for very specific reasons. We don't want kids to come here and feel like they're at school. When they come here, they're here for work. We are in a building, it's a warehouse. Some of you guys have been here. Every good startup starts in a warehouse. So we're in a warehouse. It is owned by our school district, and it's our facilities department. And something that I enjoy about it is, we've brought our students into a space that was really some people who work in our central office and who aren't around students every single day, but are in education because they love students. So this gives them another opportunity to see the why they're coming to work every day. But our students are coming into a work environment, and so every day they come in ready for work. So it's very intentional for us to be off campus. As long as I am here running this, we will never, ever be on campus. And that is something that I took away from Parkway when we were looking at our programming that they said was extremely important. And I agree with that 100%. Something that's a little bit different than what's happening in other incubator spaces is I knew as a business major, I went through a management class, as most business majors do, and we had to create a business. And I remember specifically my professor saying, go stand behind the person that you think is a great leader, and they're going to lead your company. And I looked around the room and I found the kid whose father owned a paper company, a very successful one. I'm not going to say his last name in case he ever sees this. But I went and stood behind him because I knew his dad was going to bankroll our business. And what I noticed in a lot of the incubator type spaces at the high school level, the kids that were involved that came from wealthy families were very successful. They were able to start their business and try and learn through actually starting the business. But the kids that came from families that weren't as financially successful were stuck with an idea all year long and never able to take it from that idea to actually creating a business and learning through that process. So when we created Thrive, that was at the forefront of every decision that we made, was how do we make this program available to all students and to lower the barrier of entry. So I raise funds, seed money for our students, for teams, for their businesses. Now they have to pitch for that seed money in the beginning of the year, but each team has access to $250 to start their business. That at least will cover an LLC, and it will cover them on just kind of getting a prototype together. But at least they get to start moving forward. And so that's where I've seen a difference is our kids all get to move forward. They sometimes move forward with really bad ideas, but they still get to move forward. And sometimes I don't release all the money to them at one point in time. If I know it's going to be kind of a bad idea, I hold that back for a minute, but we want them to try, because if they don't ever try and work it out and see for themselves, they need to make changes, they're not going to learn. So that is where we are significantly different than some of the other programs in the area. But what does Thrive look like on a typical week? And Thrive, I should have mentioned, is available to our juniors and seniors. I can't remember if that was in that little video clip, but they're in here Monday morning, and Mondays are their business work days. So I really give them that time to do what they need to do for their specific business. We have 6 different businesses in our incubator. And we have everything from mobile auto detailing. The DoorDash of car detailing is over in my corner. We've got like a Organic Earth, which is organic soil. I didn't know there was something other than regular soil, but they have organic soil. We've got a group that is doing social media marketing for small businesses. So it's a wide range of different businesses. So on Mondays, they work on their business work. On Tuesdays, they meet with their mentors. And this is a key piece of our program. Our mentors commit to working with a team for a year. I typically try to match mentors with students based off of their interest and in specific industry. And then those mentors come in and they dedicate at least an hour a week to work with our kids. The other thing they provide our kids is connections. You know, we talk about in education, the achievement gap, you know, there's the opportunity gap, but really there's a connection and networking gap for a lot of our kids. And we all know that when you're going out into the real world, yes, it's important for you to be smart and to be really great in your subject area, to have that knowledge, but it also comes down to who you know. And so what we've done is we've told our mentors that we want them to also share their connections with our kids. So even today, it was Tuesday, so it was mentor day. My auto detail company was having an issue with the bank that they were working with, and they were frustrated. And our mentor was like, hey, I'm going to let you talk to my banker. He's really great. He's right here. You know, let me make that connection for you, and we'll set up a meeting and see if we can get everything worked out for you. Great. They have another connection. One of our students last week was trying to apply for a scholarship, and he needed someone to write a recommendation that was not connected with the school. His mentor wrote the recommendation. So it's giving kids just a connection with people who are in industry. So Tuesdays are mentor days. I love it in here. Wednesdays are our really long days. So Webster's on a modified block schedule. So I have them for a really long time on Wednesdays. And that's when we do site visits. And so you'll see a couple pictures over here of site visits. One that I always make sure I get in every year, I call it my hard hat tour. I want kids to see folks who are in the trades. So we always go to a site where they can meet with electricians and carpenters and learn about all the different trades that are available to them. So they also realize that you don't necessarily need to go to college. College isn't a requirement when you graduate high school. So it really opens the eyes of a lot of my students. On Thursdays is a short hour in here, and we have our subject matter experts come in and teach. So the days of Kara CB standing up in front of a classroom and doing the Kara CB show all day long are gone. You guys are getting that show right now. Yay! No, but now I have subject matter experts come in and teach. So when we do the LLCs, I have an attorney come in and he talks about all the different types of business entities and then sits down with them. So they've learned everything about it, sits down with them, and then they actually do it. And I like having an attorney there because I know they're doing it correctly. When we have taxes and we work with QuickBooks, we have a CPA that is on all of our kids' QuickBook accounts, and she comes in and does taxes with them and teaches them how to do it. And that is probably one of the most tragic days for our students, is when they learn about sales tax. And Webster Groves has like a 9.42% sales tax. And they are so discouraged after that day. But it's important for them to know that because they are having a real business and they really have to pay sales tax. So the subject matter experts, you know, they love coming in and they love teaching. And some of them are like, you know, it just makes me energized when I want to go back to work. But again, it's another connection for our kids when they leave. And our accountant has stayed on with some of our kids when they leave and help them continue with their business even after they're out of the incubator. So can be really helpful in the future. On Fridays, it's another business day. So most of the time they'll take what they learned on Thursday with the subject matter expert, apply it to their business on Friday, and be ready to talk to their mentor on Tuesday about how they've applied the new knowledge. And then it just keeps going week after week. We do have one super amazing site visit every year. We go to New York and we meet with business executives for a week in January. So if you ever want to know about that, I can share with you too, but that's a whole nother scene. And this young lady right here, I don't know if you can see her, she's in like the red Hawaiian shirt. I love this picture. That's Noelle. And Noelle had just at that moment made 1,000 stickers for Balkan Treat Box, which is a restaurant here in St. Louis. And she did them in the wrong color blue. It was not their company's blue, and they got rejected. And that was the moment that she learned about why it's necessary to send a proof to your customer. So this is her tragic face, her senior year in high school. And this is why I love it so much. So Noelle is now an elementary education major. She's a senior. And she shared on her LinkedIn that her favorite part about Thrive was being able and unafraid to make mistakes. So 4 years later, she's still able to reflect back on the fact that this was a safe place to make mistakes and to learn from it. And she appreciated the support from her mentors and was able to have true growth. And I was able to talk to Noelle, and she was like, I can't wait to put that into my classroom when I have my own students. I was like, that's really what we want kids to be able to do, is to feel free to try. And it's okay. This is where you're supposed to make the mistakes. We're supposed to help you through that process. So, and these are just some of the little quotes that our students have been saying this year about their experience in our incubator. So when I'm looking at just kind of our units of study in our incubator, because students do get college credit for this if they choose to. And actually, I believe this is a state of Missouri thing, that if your student receives free reduced lunch, they can have free college credit through Missouri State. I know that is the case for my students. So some of them, they can walk out of here with 6 credits for free if they are a student that has free or reduced lunch. So that's pretty exciting for them to be able to walk away with that, in addition to all their connections and everything else. But I have, when I developed the curriculum, it was really looking at what universities are offering, because it is dual credit, looking at what other schools, districts were doing, whatever curriculum companies were doing out there, and kind of blending it all together to make what worked for us. And this is really what we came up with. And it's, we do ideation. And when we first start out, there's a lot of group work and trying to figure out who you are as a person. What is your personality? I do force them to work in teams. I think that's important for kids to learn how to do that. I also strongly encourage that they don't go into business with their friends, because that's really hard. Working in a business with friends and family is tough, because you can say all day long, it's business, it's not personal, but you always take it personally. So we still work through that every day. But just going through this really quick, we do mentoring match. It's kind of like speed dating with the mentors. They come in, figure out who's going to be a good fit, and we put them together. I have been using the business model canvas for the last couple of years. If any of you guys are in entrepreneurship education, I really love that. It's a dynamic, model that you can use. We're always going back to it and making adjustments. It's just, to me, it just fits better than doing a traditional business plan, which is very long and lengthy. That's the same as long. Good job, Kara. It's cumbersome. So we work with the business model canvas, and you'll see the different things. So we got customer discovery, connections, financials, something that's awesome. I'm pretty thrifty, and in education you have to be, because money is always tight. So QuickBooks, I don't know if you know this, but it's free for students for 1 year if you apply. So if you apply with QuickBooks, you can get that for free. When we get into the building the business, Shopify is also free for 1 year if you apply really early. So you have to apply kind of like in May for the next year. But then your kids can have a Shopify account for free and have an online store. That's incredible. And if they, at the end, if they want to keep it, they can just start a subscription. But this way they all get a chance to do some e-commerce. We go into the validation, experimentation, promotion, taxes, and then pitching and funding. So if you are in St. Louis and you have students that are interested in entrepreneurship, there are several pitch competitions that happen throughout the year that several districts host. We are Thrive and Parkway Spark and now STL Caps. We host an event called the Battle of the Saints, which is during STL Startup Week, and any kid can pitch. Kids can win like up to $1,000 towards their business idea. We do pitches that are just for our school district, and those students win purchasing power. It's hard in public school to give money to kids. You can't really do it with public funds. Well, you can't do it with public funds. I'm on camera. You cannot do it with public funds, which is why I have to raise money for our student businesses. But you guys can all participate in those pitch competitions. Even if your own children want to participate, you can do that. I've also broken this down in case you want to go back and look at this later on where I have my subject matter experts in that curriculum. So I always bring in someone for group ideation. Usually I love the DISC assessment, which talks about personality types. This year, we use the predictive index. If you can find a consultant that's going to do it for your kids for free, that's the way to go. They love it because it's an opportunity for them to learn about their strengths, and then they kind of they like to sell their ideas. They're like, hey, I'm really creative. I'm good. You guys should work with me. So it's a great tool to use. Tony Robinson also has a free DISC assessment if you ever want to use that one. But I bring in these subject matter experts. So these are folks that are going to have relationships and connections with our program. Something I learned kind of the hard way after our first year is it's not only important for your subject matter experts to be experts in their content area, they need to understand students. And I need them to understand high school students. So that is just as important. Same with your mentors. They have to be able to understand and relate to students. So keep that in mind when you're working with them. I always give them a heads up. We have someone coming tomorrow to talk about website design. And I'm like, listen, this is what it looks like when a high school student's actually listening. It may not look like they're listening. I promise they are. So kind of train them on what it is to work with kids, because we forget, because we do it all day long. But that's definitely important to pass on to the folks that are helping you and helping your students. And you guys are going to get a copy of this, I believe. So I've put some links on here to some curriculum resources that have been helpful for me. The first one is Uncharted Learning. And if you ever get the chance to go to, they're out of Naperville, Illinois. So if you can convince your district to let you go check them out. It's fabulous. They have a great program that is it's designed for like a 1 hour a day class. These students typically, they can take it 2 years, and they go from the idea, they create their prototypes, and at the end of the year, they do their pitch. And then next year they do it like an intensive accelerator program. And that's when they actually get to do their business piece to see if they can get some traction. Unlike my program where we're pitching in September and we're running with it. But Uncharted Learning has some amazing curriculum. It is not free, but it is top notch. And I don't get paid for that. So I'm just telling you from one educator to another, it's good stuff. Empowered Hub is free, and it has a lot of great activities that you can use just to kind of go a little bit more in depth. I use their business model canvas lesson. It's great, and they've some really good resources there. Venture Lab, they are phenomenal. We use them in our middle school and elementary school space, but they do have a high school piece that you can use. It is, again, geared more towards a class than the 3-hour block. And then I don't know if anybody on here is with Career Tech Ed. Obviously, if you're at the tech school, I think you'd probably be part of CTE, but we have access to MBA research, because I know the marketing teachers do, and it has great resources for developing curriculum, and it connects it to all the state standards. So it's a wonderful tool when you're trying to develop a program, and before you have to present it to your school board to explain how it meets all the standards. MBA research is a great tool to use, and is free for Missouri educators that are CTE. So I also had to learn this after my first year. An advisory board is extremely important. CTE teachers, we are required to have an advisory board for our programs, but I think that that is something that sets our program apart from others, is that we do have industry leaders that are guiding us through this process the entire way. And I had the opportunity to work with a consultant with EOS, which is Entrepreneurship Operating Systems. And she helped me design this framework for what our advisory board needed to look like. And she was always talking to me about, Carrie, you need to make sure you have the right people in the right seats. And I was like, I understand. What are my seats? I need my seats. And so this kind of became my seating chart for my advisory board of who I needed and where I needed them to go. And just like any startup, sometimes when you're the entrepreneur, you have to fill a couple of those seats yourself, right? Like sometimes you're the custodian and you're the receptionist and you own the business because you're a startup. So right now I do kind of fill some of those seats, but we've been able to add people along the way to help it go. So I am the program coordinator. We do have a community champion who goes out there and speaks on our behalf and really gets our community involved. We're very fortunate to just now have gotten someone who's really stepped into the development space, also known as fundraising for our programming. But you need someone who's going to help you with recruiting your subject matter experts and someone who's going to help connect higher education with your program. So all of these pieces are extremely important. The greatest benefit that I've found is that these people will speak on my behalf to schools, because sometimes schools don't understand business and how it actually works outside of a school setting. And so these people will come in and say to my superintendent or to an administrative team, this is how it needs to be done. And I can just sit there and smile and they take care of it for me. So these folks are the ones that are helping me push this big ship further than I would have been able to do in my role as an educator. I oftentimes say that, things in education, it's kind of like a barge. It's very slow to turn. And with Thrive, we've really kind of just been a speedboat. We're just like, let's go. And we're able to do that because of our advisory board. So if you're going to go this route, I would definitely look at this framework and see what people you can put into place so that you can make it happen. In business, and my advisory board is always asking me, what are your KPIs? What are your key performance indicators to make sure that our programming is working? And if you are ever asked that and you want to steal these, go for it. But this is how we know that it's working, right? Like we have enrollment, we're able to sustain the incubator. We have some successful business exits. I say that, but I also say that commercial success is secondary in this program, right? We want them all to have that mindset when they leave, not just the commercial success. But we have networking engagement, like we are connected to our community. So that's how we determine if our programming is successful. Okay, that was a lot. And then I'm going to go on to the middle school and elementary. Does anybody have any questions about high school that they want to ask? This is that awkward, like wait and silence and stare. No, that's fine. And you know what? If you think of a question later, you can always email me and I'll try to help answer that one too. But when we started this, we always knew that we didn't want to keep this just in our high school and middle, or in our high school. Always intended on it branching out. I do have the K-12 admin certification, so that has helped me kind of understand the different levels as we started this program. We didn't know when we'd roll it out, but we knew that we wanted to. And last year in our high school incubator, I had a student who was talking with one of our subject matter experts, and she said that Thrive was the first time she ever felt smart in school. And at one point I was like, oh, that's really great. She feels smart. And then I was also heartbroken because she is a senior in high school and it was the first time she ever felt smart in school. And it was also just as awful that there were lots of head nods around what we call our hub here, where we all sit. And it was that moment that I realized we can't keep waiting. We need to actually do this. And I was introduced to Mark. I don't know how I was introduced. I think he found me on LinkedIn, but I got introduced to about the Afterschool network. And it hit me. It's like, okay, we can do this, and we can do this quickly if we implement it in the after school space, because I don't have to get a lot of permission from school board and everybody else if I'm going to enter into the after school space. I don't have to get curriculum approved. This is a quick entry. Like, let's do this. And so just like every good educational program, we decided to form a task force and sit down and try to make a decision by committee. And that did not go well because it was roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And so I decided to take it back to my advisory board again and say, what do we do? We want this quick. How do we make this happen? And one of my advisors said, well, what do you need? I was like, I need money. That's what I need. And he's like, great, I'll fix it. I've got money. We'll cover the stipends. Go, make it happen. So we did. We got the approval in May and had folks hired in August to teach in the after school space. So the way that we did this is we started at the middle school. We have a club for 6th graders and 7th and 8th graders. So we're true middle school, and it's meeting weekly. So it's 60 minutes a week. We have $1,000 stipend for our teachers. We have to be in line with what other stipends are in our district. There's like I don't know, it's a salary schedule type thing that we have to stick with. My advisory committee was like, I can't believe you're getting people to do this for $1,000. Can we pay them more? And I'm like, unfortunately we can't, but they'll do it. And we're running it from October to April. And we are trying out the Uncharted Learning curriculum. So my 6th graders are using the Fresh Ink curriculum, and my 7th and 8th graders are using the Mix Ink curriculum from Uncharted Learning during that time. So it's going really well. We have lots of student engagement. This is actually one of our businesses that is out of our middle school. They're 7th graders. They have a fire starter business. The businesses that we do in the elementary school, we really look at recycle, reuse, and repurpose. That's our mindset there. So these girls are actually in a shop class, and they notice that there's lots of sawdust around the shop class. And one of those girls looks a lot like me because she's my daughter. And she is always upset with me because when we go camping or have a bonfire, I am very impatient and will do something like, I don't know, throw lighter fluid on it or get a Duraflame log and throw it in there, which means that you can't then roast marshmallows because it's disgusting and full of chemicals. So they were like, we want fire starters that are environmentally friendly and that you can roast marshmallows on and not be having a bunch of chemicals. And so they looked it up and they found out that you can use sawdust and you can use wax and you can make these fire starters. And they're like, and it's not going to cost us a penny to make these things. We're going to make a lot of money when we sell them. So they have created a whole line of fire starters. They have fire balls, they have fire cups that are in Dixie cups, they have fire logs, and that is their logo that they designed themselves. So It's Lit is their name. You'll see the little marshmallow there, but these are 7th graders. This is what they came up with very little guidance. Like kids are very creative. And if we just let them be, you know, they don't even realize they're learning. I mean, it's just exciting for them. From a parent perspective, this has been wonderful for my daughter. I don't know if any of you have kids in middle school, but middle school sometimes is not a very friendly place. And for girls especially, it can be very catty, and it's just not, the conversations just aren't the greatest sometimes with middle school girls. These girls are, I walk past the bedroom and they're like, well, what do you think about this packaging? And I think you should change the logo a little bit. And did we think about this for our, the new design of the fireball? I'm like, this is the conversations we're having now, instead of who has the latest Lululemon leggings on. Awesome. And so I've even seen just how it can impact a kid socially. And it's given them a new friend group that they didn't even know could exist. So this has been super successful at our middle school level, and it's, it's a proof of concept. And so we actually, let's see, look how it burns really well. But we're rolling out standalone courses next year during the day. So you can take an after school program and it can transition into actual courses. So our 7th and 8th grade students now get to have an entrepreneurship class during the day. And they'll be using I think we're going to combine them and use the mixing curriculum, but it just took that after school program to show people that we can do it. And the community is completely behind it and backing it. So, and this is what it's going to look like. So high school, we take the idea, we take it, they pitch their idea, we create the business, and we launch, and we try to get traction. Middle school, what we're really looking at is just looking for a problem, finding the solution, pitching the idea, and then selling their solution, but a very limited amount. We're not like making a ton of inventory. Uncharted Learning does provide an opportunity to have an online market, kind of like Shopify, but for kids. And what we've told the kids is if they sell on that platform, the money they make on that platform goes back into the program to help sustain the program. If kids go out and sell their product on their own, that money is theirs. So a little bit of division there at the middle school. But yeah, enrollment is booming. We are excited about this, and it's happening. So this is a little picture of the after school space. Something that's really cool about this is there's a larger child in there, and he's a high school student. My high school Thrive kids volunteer and want to work with the younger kids. They want to go in and help them brainstorm and help mentor them. And so it's become a piece where kids can actually earn A+ credits. If your school's an A+ school, they can get those tutoring hours that can go towards that scholarship. And plus the kids are taking what they learned here and teaching it. And we know if a kid teaches it, it's going to stick in their brain longer than if they just do it. So that has been kind of a surprising piece that we didn't know was going to happen, and very encouraging. So that's what we did at the middle school level. Thrive Junior, and by the way, these logos were designed by my former student. Kind of fun when you get to have alumni come back and do work for you for free. But we have an elementary program too. And for those of you who are in the elementary space and in Missouri, there is social studies curriculum that is a business unit. And so what we have decided to do is we're going to implement the entrepreneurial mindset across our 3rd grade, across the district. So every kid in our district will use the Venture Lab curriculum as a part of their business social studies unit starting next year. Every kid is going to be exposed to this. And if you want to look at this later, you can look at the standards, but yeah, they really have to do it. So that's another way that you can implement entrepreneurship into the school day, is by going through the social studies in 3rd grade. When we looked at this with our curriculum coordinator for social studies, he found right where it would fit. So if you're looking at that and want to kind of use this as a guide, if you're speaking to folks about this, you can definitely do that. And the things I loved when we were sitting down with some 3rd grade teachers is they were talking about the pros and cons of moving towards this type of programming. And really the only con was that there was going to be potential PD time. I'm like, okay, so we have to learn something new. That's not a big deal. So they are excited about it. The kids are excited about it. So next year, every 3rd grade class will have Venture Lab curriculum in that space. And in keeping with the vertical alignment, in elementary school, what we want kids to do is we want to take them from idea to pitch. That's all. They don't need to like create a big inventory product and sell. We're just going idea to pitch, which happens to be the name of the Venture Lab curriculum. So if you want to check that out, I highly recommend it. It's been going great. we are also going to have, and we currently have, an after-school club for our 4th and 5th grade students. And something that we learned through this club is, one, there's demand for it. We have a wait list to get into the club. And, you know, kids are enjoying and talking about it and being creative in the after school space and having a lot of fun. And I had the opportunity last week to hear some of the kids practice their pitches to me. These kids are amazing at pitching. Like, I guess they've watched Shark Tank a lot. But they, you know, you just give them that opportunity and to shine and to have the stage for a moment, they jump at it. And so it's been very successful in our elementary space. When we went to roll this out, we initially thought it was going to be a 6-week traveling program to all of our elementary schools, kind of like our strings program. I was shocked that our elementary schools, when I presented it to the staff, how many schools, they actually all wanted to have their own teacher teach it in their school, at every school. So we scrapped the traveling idea and made it a 6-week program at the elementary school. And we have learned that 6 weeks is not long enough. Don't do 6 weeks. That's bad. 8 to 12. Okay. But then we, so next year we're going to do several after school setting rounds of this, but we also are doing something new this year, and it's an all district pitch competition. So the big event is going to be April 4th, and we'll have elementary students pitch. Each school is going to send 4 teams maximum. The middle school is going to send their teams. And then of course, my high school kids are going to pitch at the event too. And so the middle school and elementary, they will win an experience. Right now we're looking at a field trip to Magic House Made, which is their makerspace in St. Louis. So that whole group can have that learning experience together. At the high school level, they'll win cash. And the way we are planning it is that it will be funded by our alumni. So it'll be young alumni that own businesses that are providing the money to do this district-wide pitch. So again, we're connecting our community to our school. So that is going to be on April 4th, and it is super exciting. For those of you who don't think that kids can pitch, I do have a clip from one of our students in 3rd grade. This is Claudia, and she has a fantastic company called Weed Wars. And I can give you a quick update after you watch this little clip about Claudia.
People don't want to pull their weeds in their garden beds or their flower beds because maybe it's too hot outside and they'll just be like, oh, it's so hot, I'm so tired, I can't do this. Or maybe they just don't have time. They have soccer practice, baseball practice, ton of meetings, and a whole other stuff. Or maybe they're too old and they can't bend down and reach and stuff. And it's just too hard and they'll have to go to emergency care. And that's when you need to contact Weed Wars. I'm the founder of Weed Wars, Claudia Schaefer. If your weeds don't stop growing, you need to contact me. And nobody's weeds stop growing. That's why I'm going to give you more information about my neighborhood-based business. My minimum fee is $20. How it works is I will go around my neighborhood on my bike with the most necessary tools in a backpack, and I will ride over to my neighbor's house, and I will look at their yard. I will tell them how much they will have to pay me. I will pick the weeds. I will tell them, and if they don't like how I did it, they will keep me there until they think I did it correct. And so I will go around, before I do that, is I will hand out flyers saying my time of operation, what my price is, and the price leads to how big the space is, and how much weeds I have to pull. Phase 2 of Weed Wars is me going around my friends' neighborhoods and handing my friends the playbook so they can read it and replicate my business in their neighborhoods. They will pay me 10% of their earnings because they are using my business model. This is much like a franchise business. That's why you should vote for me, Claudia Schaefer, owner and founder of Weed Wars. I need that startup money so I can get weeds pulled in my neighborhood this summer.
Yes, so that's Claudia. It was funny. I was just talking to her dad last week, and he was like, she is quickly realizing she hates pulling weeds, and she is ready to get her friends pulling weeds, and she already has some customers lined up. She's like, I can't wait to collect that 10% from all of their business. So it's just amazing to me that elementary school kids, have this confidence. And I think that, oftentimes, unfortunately, we kind of kill this confidence throughout the school years, and if we can build this up while they're in the elementary school, I can't wait till she's in high school. I can't wait. Now, it'll also probably be the year that I retire that she's in high school, but it's just, I can't wait to see what's going to come through since we're implementing this now at the lower grade levels. Some of the programs or some of the ideas the kids have right now at one of our schools is we have I don't know if you guys have had boo-boo bunnies when your kids were little, like those little reusable ice pack type things. She makes them out of rice. And that's what she's doing, and the problem that she's solving. We have another student that is designing like these special motivational magnets, and she's created these magnets. We've got a group that is football jerseys. He's frustrated that he buys a jersey and then the person no longer plays for the team anymore. So he wants a way to like slide out a name so you can keep your jersey, but you're always with the team, but the player kind of changes on a yearly basis. So it's funny to see what they see as problems and how they want to solve those problems. It's just, we need to give them that opportunity. And I really think this is another way. I mean, it's not only beneficial for our kids, but it's beneficial for staff. This program, an idea came along at a time when I was struggling as an educator. I look at year 15 of a lot of educators. That's usually the time you either decide I'm in this for the long haul or I'm out. And there's not very many opportunities for educators to grow, except for becoming an admin. And we don't need to all be assistant principals and principals. And so I've always shared with my district that this has been the best thing for me professionally to grow, because they've given me the opportunity to be in a space where I get to learn and I get to do what I, use my strengths. My strengths are connecting people. I get to do that all day long. And it makes me want to keep coming back. So I'm not the grouchy teacher sitting in a classroom like, oh, I'm teaching the same subject again for the 23rd year. It allows for the teachers to grow. And the teachers that are currently doing this in our elementary space, they're like, we love it. I have a lot of gifted teachers that are doing the after school programs. And some of them are like, we love it because we're not working with gifted kids. Like, we get to offer these amazing opportunities to all kids, not just ones that score high on a test. I'm like, yes, that's great. And so they're finding joy in that too. And then I also find that doing this type of learning is fun. And we've taken so much fun out of education that this is a way to put it back in. With our elementary program, just like our middle school, next year when we do the 3rd grade piece, I have 6 businesses and we have 6 elementary schools. So each business will take an elementary school and they will be the mentors for that elementary school. So we're going to connect again, high school, elementary. So it's constantly connecting high school to business and high school students to middle school and elementary school, and connecting our alumni back to the school district. It's just a big opportunity to connect and to learn an amazing skill set that we all need to have. So this is great. Thanks, Kara, for sharing this, right? But how do we do this? Because it costs money and we don't have money, and no schools have money right now. Actually, I don't have a whole lot of money right now, but funding, there is opportunity for funding for this. One, a lot of it does have to be private donations, which is actually great because then you have more freedom on how you use that money. I feel like once money comes into the school, a bazillion restrictions happen to those dollars. So anything that you can get privately funded is very helpful in this type of programming. there's a grant called Innovative Technology Education Fund. Apply for it. They have two that fit this perfectly. One is a catapult grant, and I got that my first year. It was like, I mean, it was close to $30,000 in technology that I got. And it literally launched this program. I've gone back for the Innovative Tech grant. Here's hoping I get it. But these are large grants that they will give you to help fund programming like this in your school space. It is restricted to, there's a zip code restriction. I know it's, if you're in St. Louis County and St. Louis, it definitely covers you. I don't know how far the reach is, but definitely check that out. If you have a CTE certification, Carl Perkins can help fund this programming. Chamber of Commerce, I'm on the board of our Chamber of Commerce. That's probably one of the best connections I have. We just had like a network and our coffee and connections in here to teach kids networking. But your chambers will help you because these are the people that they're going to have to hire later. They want to help train the incoming workforce. District foundations, a lot of times I know the Parkway School District has an amazing foundation that helps fund theirs, private donors again. And if you are in St. Louis and you're looking for grants, Mel Lambert is phenomenal. You need to go to the Kirkwood Library, schedule a meeting with her. She will help you find grants and help connect you to tons of resources that can help you develop a program like this, or just even the entrepreneurial ecosystem in St. Louis. So you guys, I've used up a lot of time, but this is how you can get a hold of me if you want to pick my brain, or if you have questions, you can reach out to me this way. If you want to follow us, we are on Twitter, and then we also LinkedIn. You can follow us on there, and it'll kind of give you an update on what's going on in the incubator. But you know, just do it. Like, don't get caught up in the whole education wonderings. I wonder if we can do it. Just take that first step and do it. And it's going to be messy, and that's fine if it's messy. Do it. Try it, embrace the entrepreneurial mindset. If it doesn't work, fix it and do it again until it does work for you. But if you're like, this is good for kids, then figure out a way to make it happen. Because it's fun. It really is. It gives me life. It gives my kids life. It's been great PR for our district. And yeah, it's been a joy to be able to bring this and create this for our district. So that's what I've got. If you have questions or comments or anything, I would love to hear from you. I know there was a lot of talking at you, which is the opposite of what I like to do. But yeah, otherwise, Terry, you're in charge.
All right. Well, thank you, Kara. That was great information. And I've heard, as I told you before we got started, I've heard Mark say several times, you got to hear everything that's going on there. This is like amazing. And it was, I mean, to do this at the high school is fantastic. And then to spread to the middle school and the elementary school, and then get it incorporated into the school day in both of those. I mean, that's showing the importance of this particular content and the need for it. Does anyone have any questions for Kara that you'd like to ask while we have her?
I do have a question. I was like, I put it in the chat, but I don't mind asking it out loud. So like for the resources, I know it's obviously a school program, but I'm looking at it from, I'm a 4-H staff. And we have like the in-school programming, but it's through 4-H, if that makes sense. And so are those resources, do you know, by chance limited to like the schools that have to get them? Or
No.
is that open? How does that work?
They're open. So, you know, Uncharted Learning, I don't think that they really looked at the after school space until we started talking about it. They might have, but now they're pushing it now that we're doing it. But they've modified their curriculum for different programming. The thing I love about Uncharted Learning is if you're going through their program and it doesn't fit for you, you get a person who will adjust the curriculum for you. So you don't have to recreate things. You have someone on your team, which is nice. The Venture Lab curriculum, it can go anywhere. Some of the other stuff like the Missouri, the MBA, that one is tied to CTE, which I guess 4-H is, well, they might not, I don't know if they're with career tech piece, but no, a lot of that program is available to any type of group that you're working with. The Entrepreneur Ed one, that one is also free and available. You just create an online account and can have access to all that curriculum. The nice thing is, Missouri Afterschool Network has a pitch competition too. There were a lot of 4-H kids that were involved in it this last summer. I know because I judged it. So I don't know if they were using their projects that they do in 4-H in that pitch competition, but it's open to everyone. It's just people don't know about it. So the more that know, the more opportunities there are for kids. So, and I know Venture Lab sponsors that pitch competition too. Venture Lab has a pitch competition that you can register for up until March. And it's a virtual pitch, so it's nationwide. So if you have kids that are interested in entrepreneurship before you get a program going, it's another way that you can kind of, help direct kids so they have that additional opportunity to learn and, have those experiences. I hope that helped.
No, I hear you. I get it 100%. I was like, and I'm familiar with Venture Lab, and I've chatted with him and stuff too, but I was just curious in terms of, just the resources, because, growing program 4-H don't have a lot of money. And
yeah, no.
That is always helpful.
So it is funny, like
sometimes
when we started this program, and it's actually still the same way. The only thing the district covers is my salary.
Okay.
So everything else I've had to fundraise, which once you get the community in here, like my subject matter experts and my mentors, once you get them in here and you get them around kids and they see what's happening, they want to give money and they want to tell their friends about it. And then their friends want to give money. Like I'm now pinning people up against each other. Like, oh, my company gave 3,000. Well, then what are you going to give? So it's become this thing now. Like, it's just that exposure. Once you show people and once they see kids, they get it and they want to help. It's just, yeah, no, I get the not having money thing because.
Yeah, well, and it's the reason I ask because there's so many opportunities when it comes to they're like, oh, teachers can apply for this. And although I'm an educator, I'm not qualified for those. Like,
right.
I don't meet the criteria, even though I'm doing, I don't want to say the same work, but similar work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, but we're taking out of the running in a lot of those formats because we're not a teacher or we're not attached to a particular school building.
Yep, I hear you. Now a lot of those resources are available. There's also, I think it's called YE. They might have been rebranded. They might
YEI.
Yeah, I think they got rebranded to the Empower Ed. So the state of Ohio has amazing connections and access to resources. I wish we had some of those here, and I'm kind of pushing for that. But you can like try out some curriculum for free from them, and they have some great lessons. Mark actually directed me there last year, I believe. But there's a lot of free resources available because money is tight. I get that. And then, if you, I don't know how long you've been in the program, but I reach out to like former students and families. Like when I was a marketing teacher, I had no shame. I would ask kids all the time, who are their connections? And I reached out to every one of them to try to get them connected with the program. I have no shame in that. I asked parents, who do you know and who can help us? Just so that we can get a program going. Once you have other people speaking for you, it comes in. It's just, you got to get that buzz going, and then to get people to listen. And speaking of, another great program that is free If you have students who are female or identify female, Carly Kloss, who is one of my former students, has Code with Klossy. So have your kids sign up for that. Enrollment just started this week, but it's a coding camp for students, and it's a great program that she has created. Yeah, there's lots of folks that they want to help. They just don't know how. And I think as educators, we don't oftentimes ask because we have all the answers, right? Like, but we need to ask. Another great thing to do is get on LinkedIn. Get on it. Start posting things on it. Start connecting with everybody who's in industry on it. And so that then you start getting followers to get the word out. LinkedIn is a huge lifesaver for me in this programming.
Makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't have thought of it in that aspect, but that makes a lot of sense. Like I have a LinkedIn, but like in my mindset, I'm like, I view LinkedIn as like, yes, it's a professional network, but I think it as like finding jobs or blah, blah, blah. But like, yeah, that makes sense.
It is the greatest tool for us in here. And all my students are on LinkedIn. It's been a huge asset to the program.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Do you have a website address for Carly Kloss's?
Code with Klossy? You know what? Let me get it really quick. I can totally do it. She was just on CBS this morning, promoting it. Let me see. Code with Klossy. And I just put it on my LinkedIn. Here we go. Back to you all. I'm gonna put it in the chat. There you go. And if you have a kid that you want in it, send me the name and I'll push it through. Let's see if we can get there a little faster. Connections help, right?
Yes.
They always help. That's what we're teaching our kids. So use it, use each other. But yeah, it's been an amazing way for her to give back with that programming.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Anyone else? If you guys are ever in St. Louis and want to swing by and see our glorious space in the warehouse, you definitely can. You just need to let me know and stop by and check it out. We're always, again, we're here to help each other, and we're all working towards the same thing, right? Like they're not my kids, they're all of our kids. We're all going to have them. So like, let's all help each other. So if you want that, just let me know, and let me see how I can help you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I guess that we wrapping up, Terry.
Yes. Thank you, Kara, for sharing your story and the great videos and slides.